The amphitheater of the Galactic Xenobiology Institute buzzed with anticipation. Holographic displays floated above thousands of seats, each occupied by scholars from 100 different worlds. At the center stage, Professor Varric Sol, a towering figure with obsidian scales and 3 pairs of analytical eyes, stood before a containment field that shimmered like oil on water. Inside that field, something paced with predatory grace. The Kithran apex wolf was a legend made flesh, native to the death world of Kithra 9. It stood nearly 3 meters at the shoulder, its midnight fur rippling over muscles designed by evolution's cruelest hand, rows of crystalline teeth-lined jaws that could snap through starship hull plating. Its 6 eyes glowed with an intelligence that had driven entire colonial expeditions to madness before tearing them apart. Dr. Amelia Cross sat in the 5th row, her small human frame dwarfed by the massive Thoraxian scholar beside her. She adjusted her glasses, an affectation she kept despite having perfect vision, a reminder of Earth, and watched Varric with professional interest. The galactic community had been studying humans for only 3 standard cycles, ever since first contact. They still treated her species like fascinating anomalies. Distinguished colleagues, Varric's voice resonated through the chamber's translation matrix. Today we demonstrate the psychological dominance protocols of apex predators. The Kithran wolf has evolved beyond mere hunting instinct. It projects fear as a weapon, a psychic pressure that paralyzes prey before the kill. The containment field flickered, and the wolf's attention snapped to Varric. A sound emerged from its throat. Not quite a growl, not quite a scream. The acoustics had been designed to amplify it, and the effect was devastating. Several attendees in the front rows went rigid, their survival instincts locking them in place. Amelia felt it too. A cold weight settled in her chest, primal terror whispering that she was prey, that death watched her with burning eyes. Her fingers gripped the armrest. Interesting, she thought clinically, even as her heartbeat thundered. A psychological attack vector. Fear as a tangible force. Observe, Varric continued, seemingly unaffected behind his psychic dampeners, how the predator establishes dominance. In the wild, this display would. The wolf struck the containment field with explosive force. The barrier held but barely. Energy crackled across its surface as the creature slammed against it again and again, each impact accompanied by that soul-shredding scream. Cracks began to spiderweb through the field's structure. Panic rippled through the amphitheater. Scholars scrambled for exits. Varric's scales flushed pale with alarm as he frantically worked the controls. Remain calm. The secondary barriers will. The containment field shattered. The Kithran wolf exploded into the amphitheater like a missile of fur and fury. It landed on the stage with enough force to crack the reinforced flooring, head swiveling as it selected targets. Its jaws snapped open in pure rage, that psychic scream now unfiltered, and several aliens in the nearest rows simply fainted from the overwhelming terror. Amelia stood frozen, not from fear this time, but from a tickling sensation that had been building in her nose for the past minute. The environmental controls in the amphitheater she'd noticed earlier were pumping in some kind of pollen-rich atmosphere for the botanical scholar's comfort. Her allergies had been acting up all morning. The wolf's 6 eyes locked onto her. A small creature, alone, vulnerable, easy prey. It coiled, muscles bunching, preparing to leap the distance between them in a single bound. Its jaws opened wide, crystalline teeth gleaming, that horrifying sound building in its chest. Amelia sneezed. It wasn't a delicate sneeze. It was the kind of explosive, whole-body sneeze that only humans seemed capable of. A violent achoo that echoed through the amphitheater's acoustics with the force of a small detonation. The Kithran wolf stopped mid-scream. Its mouth hung open. Its eyes went wide. And then, impossibly, its lips began to curl back. Not in a snarl, but in what could only be described as a grin. A sound emerged from the predator. Not a growl. Not a scream. A wheeze, a huff. And then, to the absolute bewilderment of every being in the amphitheater, the apex predator of Kithra 9 collapsed onto its side and began to make a sound that the translation matrix struggled to interpret before finally settling on. Laughter. The wolf rolled onto its back. All 6 eyes squinted in what appeared to be delight, its massive paws waving in the air. The psychic pressure vanished, replaced by something else entirely. Amusement, pure and unfiltered. Amelia blinked. She said. Varric stared, his 3 pairs of eyes wider than anatomically advisable. That's impossible. Kithrin wolves they're apex predators. They don't have a humor response. But the wolf was making sounds that could only be described as chuffing giggles, occasionally interrupted by attempts to imitate the sneeze, a hoof, before dissolving into more of that strange, wheezing laughter. Slowly, cautiously, Amelia approached. The wolf's tail, a muscular appendage capable of crushing bones, thumped against the floor in an unmistakable wag. "Hello there," Amelia said softly, reaching out. The wolf pressed its massive head against her hand, still making pleased huffing sounds. She scratched behind what might have been ears, and the creature's hind leg began to kick involuntarily. The amphitheater had gone completely silent. Varric descended from the stage, his scientific mind visibly struggling to process what he was witnessing. "Dr. Cross, what just happened?" Amelia shrugged, continuing to pet the death world predator who was now writhing happily on the floor like an oversized puppy. I sneezed. I think it surprised him. Sometimes the unexpected is funnier than anything else. She paused. Also, I think your apex predator might just be a very large dog. The wolf made another sound, definitely laughter now, and licked her face with a tongue the size of a dinner plate. In the following weeks, Dr. Cross's paper on interspecies humor recognition and the subversion of predatory instinct through unexpected auditory stimuli would revolutionize xenopsychology. More importantly, it would establish a fundamental principle that the galaxy was only beginning to understand about humans. Sometimes the most effective weapon against terror wasn't courage or strength. Sometimes it was just being so absurdly, unexpectedly human that the universe itself couldn't help but laugh along. The Kithrin wolf, renamed Biscuit by popular vote, became the Institute's unofficial mascot. And if visitors were confused about why the galaxy's most feared predator would abandon its meal to come running whenever someone sneezed, well, that was just another entry in the ever-growing file labeled, "Humanity Still Confusing After All These Cycles."